Welcome. This is Robert Hawes, CEO and founder of Obscillum Research, and today we'll be taking a look at Obscillum Security Agent, our R&D group's prototype for moving beyond static analysis. Static analysis has been the default for 2 decades and is still where most security tooling stops. What I'll show you in the next 10 minutes is an AI-orchestrated workbench for C and C++, which can also be expanded to other languages or domains, orchestration system that picks up where the scanner leaves off. It reasons about findings, it runs the code, it captures proof, and it hands an engineer or a client something they can actually act on. Here's the gap we're solving. Traditional static analysis stops at, this code pattern looks dangerous. That's a starting point, not an answer. The reviewer is still left holding 3 open questions. Can a user actually reach this code? Does it crash or misbehave when they do? And what evidence do I show the engineer who has to fix it? Today, those questions get answered by humans, slowly, manually, one finding at a time. That's the gap. Before we get to talking about what we built at the R&D side, let's take a look at what the industry is. 2 patterns have emerged for putting AI agents into security workflows. The first is basically kind of a ChatOps triage agent that sits inside of Slack or Teams or any type of communication channel that your company uses that watches the scanner's queue, it summarizes findings and ranks findings, and then pings a human engineer when something looks like it's worth a real look. The second is a pipeline gatekeeping type of agent system. Those same agents wired into the CI/CD, doing security review on pull requests, posting inline comments, and or blocking merges when a finding lands. Both of these are real. Both offer real value to your organization, but both have the same ceiling of capability. They hand a finding to a human and say, please review. The agent is the messenger, not the verifier. The missing layer. That's the layer we wanted to add. Static findings are cheap. AI commentary on those findings is cheap. What's expensive is actually running the suspicious code in a controlled way and seeing what happens. And that's exactly what a Slack alert or a CI gate cannot do on its own. So we decided to ask the question, what if the agent could spin up an ephemeral environment, build the target with sanitizers, run it against a generated payload, capture the runtime evidence, and tear the whole thing down all on its own without any human intervention or input? Now to us, that's going beyond static analysis. That's dynamic runtime verification. And it's a layer that turns might be dangerous into here is the crash, reproduction steps, working proof of concept, every artifact you need that you might pay tens of $20,000 or $30,000 to a manual penetration testing team to capture that same type of intelligence about your product. Everything in the rest of this deck is how we do that, autonomously with orchestration systems. The Obscillum Security Agent is a vulnerability research workbench, static analysis, AI reasoning, sandbox dynamic execution, debugger instrumentation, and evidence-rich reporting. All of that is stitched into one workflow. The goal of this isn't to have more findings, it's findings that are explained, reproduced, verified, and documented with enough proof to support remediation or internal client handoff. Now, this is the pipeline at a high-level overview. Currently, there's 8 stages, each one adding a different kind of evidence on top of the last. Static discovery surfaces suspicious codes. AI reasoning explains the root cause. Proof of concept generation produces a finding-specific input. Dynamic verification builds and runs the target. Debugger instrumentation proves execution reaches the vulnerable line. Runtime output confirms the crash or sanitizer output. The session recording captures the actual terminal activity. We are handing these agents direct shell access inside of a sandboxed environment. I know it's pretty crazy. Most people still are talking about MCP, but yeah, we hand our agents direct shell access inside of a sandboxed environment to do their analysis. And then finally, you have the internal client reporting that packages all of it together in the same quality as a manual penetration test that can cost tens of thousands of dollars. and it's only one time. These systems, you can run them as much as you want, or how much you want to pay tokens for. The next 5 slides walk through the layers that matter most. So, static analysis layer. The bottom of the stack is a static analysis layer. AI-focused detection sits at the center, orchestrating 2 sublayers. You have the classic linters that are running, constantly checking for issues, and then you have the third-party scanner pass that's constantly running. You already pay for these tools. They're good. They're not bad. Keep paying for them. There's nothing wrong with having them. But the output no longer goes to a human for review. It goes into your orchestration system. So it's looping between them as findings come in. Every result is mapped onto a single normalized module. You'll have a rule ID, CWE, severity, the source location, evidence excerpt. You'll have remediation, proof of tool usage. You get raw logs and status metadata. That normalization is what lets every later stage talk about findings in the same language. When the static phase is exhausted, candidate findings hand off to dynamic verification. This then leads into the agentic reasoning and execution for the dynamic verification, which happens after the static analysis completes. So on top of the static analysis, we need an agentic reasoning layer. The agent interprets static findings, identifies likely root causes, and builds call path explanations from import source to vulnerable sink. It decides which findings need dynamic verification and which don't. It also develops safe local proof of concepts. It separates confirmed findings from rejected or inconclusive ones, and it produces narratives a non-specialist can read. The important shift here is that the system is reasoning about exploitability and evidence quality. We're not just matching patterns here and reporting a potential finding, we're actually confirming them. This is the layer that makes the platform more than just a scanner. For findings that the agent flags as worth verifying, we build an instrumented debug binary. You can assign also different build types with different sanitizers like AddressSanitizer or UBSan. We generate a finding-specific payload. We launch the target inside of that sanitized sandbox, and we drive it with debugging tools such as GDB, where the agents can set breakpoints at the vulnerable code location, capture crashes, sanitizer outputs, signals, locals, and backtraces. That's how we prove the code can actually be reached and triggered under controlled conditions. Every dynamic run is recorded. The exact shell script that executed in the container, the terminal transcript with ANSI capture, timing metadata, structured JSON session events, JDB output, build output, and any crash or sanitizer evidence. The report embeds this as a runtime proof session with the transcript replay. The reviewer doesn't have to trust a summary. They can watch through what actually happened live. Finally, you have the output that gets ready to be delivered to your internal client within your organization. The output is built for handoff, not for developer logs. You have executive summary, scope, methodology, findings, detailed findings with vulnerable excerpts, annotated reachability proof, reproduction steps, build and debug commands, runtime payloads, dynamic test output, terminal replay, remediation, and retest guidance, and appendices with raw evidence. The report is structured to answer 7 specific questions. What's vulnerable, where it lives, how input reaches it, how it was triggered, what runtime evidence proves it, how to fix it, and how to retest the fix. This is important. This is the full encapsulation of a very time-consuming process that would normally take weeks and months of planning. The same capability can now be achieved in a day's time, on demand, with no human in the loop. So here's the difference though. Plainly speaking, a traditional scanner gives you a finding, pattern, location, severity, maybe a CWE, maybe related vulnerabilities from the past. Our agents give you a finding plus a hypothesis, a payload, a sandbox run, a debugger trace, sanitizer output, a terminal replay, and a client-ready write-up. Same starting point, very different deliverable. To end this off though, this is not just a better scanner, it's a different artifact entirely. The Obscillum Security Agent turns "this pattern might be dangerous" into "here is the exact command, the exact input, the exact crash, and the exact fix." That's what we mean by beyond static analysis. And that's it. Once again, I'm Robert Hawes, CEO and founder of Obscillum Research, and I appreciate you listening to today's presentation about going beyond static analysis in this era of AI agentic orchestration. There's a lot of companies who are creating these products. I just basically broke it down for you for free. You can literally just take this entire presentation, put it into like a AI YouTube transcript analyzer, take that output, feed it into Claude or Codex, and you'll be off to the races to start building your own orchestration systems if you wish. But without further ado, hope you have a great rest of the day.